So today we'll be talking about Days Gone and doing sort of a quick review on it. It's not perfect or game changing, and maybe that contributes to some of the bad reviews on it because the PlayStation exclusives bar is set so high from other games like God of War, Spider-Man, and The Last of Us. But it's not a bad game at all, it's actually really good. But for whatever reason it gets a bad rap from game critics, which is pretty sad. Even though IGN and GameSpot and all that's pretty much a joke, a lot of people will still see those reviews and probably not even play the game. I have no idea what is with these game critics giving Days Gone like a 5 out of 10 and 6.5 out of 10. It's weird how low of a score every review is giving it. Something weird is going on. It's like we played an entirely different game. So anyways, the story is really good. It kind of gets a little strange, but still stays really good. It starts off pretty slow, but really starts to pick up, and the tension starts to build so much in the story. That's something that I really want to compliment the game on, is the tension building. The tension is insane sometimes, and I think this is mostly due to the music. Like, they have a main theme that they play throughout the game, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like the creepy music that they have. It plays like whenever you find a horde or some scary parts of the game or certain parts of the story. That creepy sort of soundtrack is insane, and it scares the living hell out of you sometimes. And it goes good with the main theme of the game too, like the main soundtrack, because the main soundtrack is kind of happier, and it kind of makes the game split between these like happy moments and really creepy scary moments. And I think they did that really good. And the characters, I started off not really liking them too much, but I really started to like them as it went on, and Deacon is probably one of my favorite game characters now. I really like him. I think they did a really good job with his character, and the actor that plays him does a really great job too. I wish I would have timed myself to see exactly how many hours it took to complete, but I'd say it took somewhere between 30 to 40 hours, and that's mostly just main missions. There's a lot of other side stuff to do, which I did some of, but not a whole lot. My only real complaint with the actual story is the cuts and transitions that they have during the cutscenes. I've seen other people talk about this, so you might have already heard about this, but it's just really weird and out of place. Sometimes it works, but most of the time it doesn't. It skips out on a lot of the tension building parts because you'll be about to do something crazy, and then all of a sudden you just cut to another scene where it's already kind of happening. And then other times you'll cut to another cutscene that takes place like 5 minutes after the last one, but you sat there and loaded for this new one, and the new cutscene only lasts like 2 seconds. He says like one sentence, and then it skips to another cutscene. It's really weird. It just feels like it jumps around sometimes, and it takes a lot out of the immersion and makes it hard to really care about what's going on at that moment. The graphics in the open world are amazing. Even on a regular PS4, they're beautiful. There's a lot of different weather systems which make it even better, like snow and thunderstorms. There's a lot of stuff to do, like infestations, hordes, camps. You can find upgrades, which are Nero injectors, which will upgrade your stamina or health or focus, which your focus is just like aiming in slow motion, almost like Deadeye in Red Dead Redemption. The face animations, in my opinion, are awesome. A lot of the time when you see their face at like an emotional scene or something, you can actually tell how much it affects them and that they're actually in pain. Like, it looks real. The only downside to their face animations are the mouth movements. For whatever reason, a lot of the time it doesn't seem like their mouth matches what they're saying. I think that might partially be a bug though, because a lot of the time I had a bug where the lips would completely go out of sync in the cutscenes, and it made it so horrible to experience. I'll get more into the bugs in a second though, because that is probably one of my biggest complaints about the game. But the zombies, which in here are called freakers, are cool too. I think they did a good job with those, especially when it comes to the hordes. It's cool how the weather and time of day actually affects them, which, by the way, the weather doesn't only affect zombies, but affects the way that your motorcycle drives too. Like, you'll slide around a lot more in the snow and the rain. But yeah, for the big hordes, you actually have to make a plan and tactically take the hordes out and rely on like your surroundings and all that. And I think they did that really good. The photo mode in here is insane. If you like photo mode in games, this probably has one of the best photo modes out there. The only thing that it's missing, I think, that a lot of other games has is poses, but that's like the only thing they're missing. They make up for that by having insane amounts of color grading and different stuff. And then something that's cool in this game, it's very minor, but it's something cool that I haven't seen in any other PS4 game, is how it uses the touchpad. If you swipe right on the touchpad, it'll open your map. If you swipe down, it'll open your skills, and so on and so forth. At first, I hated this because it's so annoying when you accidentally hardly touch the touchpad, which happens a lot, and it'll open up a menu, but once you get used to it, it's actually really convenient, only having to swipe to open a menu instead of hitting a bunch of buttons whenever you want to go to a different map or skill tree. You just swipe in that direction and it'll bring you there no matter what menu you're on, or if you're in the game or whatever. But one thing I want to talk about is the missions, because I've seen a lot of people hating the missions and other people liking the missions in here. I like a lot of the missions, but a lot of them do get kind of repetitive. Not really enough to even hate on the game about. Like, I've seen people comparing it to Assassin's Creed missions, like trailing missions and stuff like that, which there are some trailing missions in here, but it's not nearly as bad as Assassin's Creed. Like the ones in here where you have to trail and listen to someone, there's very few of them, and when you're listening to the conversation, it's actually interesting and has something to do with the story. You're actually listening to something that matters. But the biggest thing I disliked by far are the performance issues. At one point in the game, this was the buggiest buggiest game that I have ever played. In the first 10 or so hours, the only issue I really had were like frame rate problems while riding my bike, which are annoying, and I think everyone's experiencing these. But as I went deeper into the game, the issues just got worse and worse. I finally got to the point in the story where stuff was actually happening, and it was probably the biggest part in the story up until that point. And all of a sudden, I had the most terrible frame rate problems where it feels like 10 frames per second, doors bugging out and not giving me the option to open them, so you're stuck in the building, textures not loading in, voices not syncing with their lips, and it completely ruined that part of the game. I have never been so annoyed with a game's bugs in my life. I really want to show some clips of like a specific part where all of that was happening at once, but it would contain some pretty big spoilers. After that though, I just restarted the game and it got better, but there still were a constant amount of bugs, just not nearly to that point. Like there's some spots where the textures won't load in on the map and you can just drive through the map. There was one point when I was on a mission and the guy that I was walking with just fell through the map. It just feels like they didn't really have the time to fully polish up the game and get the bugs out. They have already released patches though, and I think they plan on releasing more to fix bugs, so let's hope that those get fixed up, because that is probably the biggest issue that I have with the game. It's not even really with the game itself, it's just with the bugs. So while this isn't a perfect game, I think it's a really good game, and it's much better than it's made out to be, and I think it's worth it. Whether or not you want to wait for a sale is up to you, but I'm not really disappointed with what I got for full price, and would pay for it again. I really hope they patch out the bugs though, because it really does lessen the overall experience that Days Gone offers. But that's pretty much it. See ya.